Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to the show today. Today we're going to be taking a look at WrestleMania 34. That's right, it is finally WrestleMania week. We're only a few days away from the biggest show of the year for the WWE, and I don't know if you're excited. I'm slightly excited, slightly less excited than I was last week, but I don't know if you guys feel the same way. We got a lot of stuff to talk about because it's been a chaotic past couple of weeks in the WWE. We had obviously the crazy news, the mind-boggling news. Daniel Bryan, the comeback kid, has finally been cleared to return to the ring to wrestle for the WWE. Something that everybody thought in a million years would never happen. Everybody apparently except for Daniel Bryan. There have been so many conspiracy theories out there about Daniel Bryan and his what was actually going on with him and whether or not he'd ever actually be cleared, and conspiracy theories of people thinking that it was the WWE purposely not clearing him because they didn't want him to, they were trying to hold him down, even in retirement. A lot of crazy theories, fan theories. And I don't believe really any of it. I never really did believe any of it. At the end of the day, I think with Daniel Bryan, they really were trying to look out for his health at the end of the day, because you've got to, with all these conspiracy theories and all that stuff, you've got to look at the notion of Daniel Bryan being cleared to wrestle when he's not necessarily healthy enough to be cleared to wrestle. Look at what might happen, especially in a situation like this. Let's say they cleared him just so they could have him be a part of WrestleMania. And God forbid, something goes wrong, he gets hurt, he gets paralyzed, he breaks his neck live on the WWE Network for only $9.99. It would be a complete and utter disaster. It would be the biggest PR nightmare they could possibly have. So I think that reason alone was enough for them to, for their not clearing him being justified. And I think, me personally, it was frustrating when he retired. It was extremely sad and depressing. It was heartbreaking, especially knowing how much he truly wanted to compete and how much he truly loved the business and the art form of professional wrestling, and how much he desperately wanted to be in that ring night after night, week after week, month after month, year after year, busting his ass, killing himself, in the ring and out of the ring, mentally and physically, for the WWE fans. And, I think it's really the best case scenario at this point is him being cleared. He spent 2 years going to apparently the best doctors and the best specialists on the planet, and WWE made sure that he went to the best people out there. And apparently they gave him a list. From what the word on the street has been, they gave him a list. He went to the WWE people, and he said, "What do I need to do? Who do I need to see in order for you to clear me to compete in a WWE ring?" And they said, "Here you go. Here's the list of all of these specialists we want you to go to see, each and every single one of these people, and if each and every single one of these people clear you, you'll be good to go. We will clear you." And apparently, all of these people cleared Daniel Bryan. And some people have been saying, well, all the people that Daniel Bryan had seen initially 2 years ago, they had all cleared him. The only doctors that hadn't cleared him were the WWE doctors. So that leaves the question, why would they send him to all these specialists now? Why didn't they send him to these specialists back then? And if he got cleared by all of these outside doctors and specialists, what does that have to do with WWE's doctors? So why is it all of a sudden now being a matter of these outside doctors outweighing WWE's doctors, when in the beginning they were essentially saying it doesn't matter who you go see outside of the company unless our WWE doctors clear you, you are not wrestling in the WWE. So that's really the only question I have at this point that I haven't really seen any kind of an answer to, is what changed in regards to that? Why does it seem now that they were focusing on the outside doctors and specialists when in the beginning it didn't seem to matter who he went to and who he got cleared by? In the beginning it really just seemed to be a matter of either our WWE doctors clear you or you're not wrestling. Apparently that has either changed, or maybe now WWE's doctors did clear him, which I guess must be the case if he's, officially cleared to compete now. But I don't know what the complete and full story is. I don't know if we'll ever know the complete and gory details to it. Daniel has always been a very outspoken person in interviews and things like that, so I think eventually we will know even more details than we know now. But as of right now, the thing that excites me the most about WrestleMania 34 this Sunday is the prospect of, after all this time, finally being able to watch my favorite WWE superstar compete in a WWE ring on the biggest stage possible, and ironically enough, in front of the same crowd and the same place and venue that he had arguably the biggest moment of his entire career. Not even arguable. The biggest moment of his entire WWE career in his first WWE run, when he had 2 matches on WrestleMania, beat Triple H in the opening match, and then won a triple threat match against Randy Orton and Batista to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It was one of the most emotional and incredible moments that I can remember as having been a WWE fan for 20 years now. I think that is probably the most spectacular, emotional moment, victorious moment also, that I can remember as a fan, because we were all along the ride. We were all along for the ride on that journey that he went through, with the real life being mixed in with the fiction. And we all knew the real story. You had the people out there who, the true marks who, and I don't use that term lightly. I very rarely use that term because I can't stand it. But the true marks were the ones that were trying to make the excuse, see, we told you it would all work out. WWE is brilliant. They all knew right from the get-go. They told a brilliant story and you all fell for it. You are all made fools of, when that was not even remotely the case. Okay, this is the last time I'm going to say it. The first and last time I'm going to say it. I think I've said it before on this channel, but that was not even remotely the WWE's plan back at that time. They had no intention whatsoever of having that storyline have any type of conclusion, let alone a happy conclusion. That was a lightning in a bottle period of time where the fans changed the outcome. The fans spoke up, the fans' voices were finally heard, and to a point where the WWE weren't able to ignore them anymore. And that's why, in my personal opinion, I would list that as the top WWE storyline, the best WWE storyline of all time, in my personal opinion. Because you had everything you could possibly want. You had reality blending with fiction, which helped you get even more invested into that storyline. Because Daniel Bryan, in my opinion, is almost impossible not to care about him as a person and as a character, because the guy is just so damn likable. And everybody can, they know what it feels like, to a certain degree, to be kind of stepped on by a boss or a superior, and so I think it was a very relatable storyline, and I think that was another factor as to why the fans were able to so easily gravitate towards Bryan and latch on to Bryan and get behind him. And so, in my opinion, that was, even though it wasn't the plan, it ended up being the most phenomenal storyline in the most emotional roller coaster ride that a WWE storyline or a professional wrestling storyline has ever taken me on personally as a fan. And that's the reason why Daniel Bryan became my favorite WWE superstar. Not my all-time, but my favorite WWE superstar. And of course, the irony being that he ended up having to retire. But now, you can imagine how happy I am now that I finally get to watch Daniel Bryan compete in a WWE ring again. And teaming up with Shane McMahon, another guy that I love to watch perform. I think he's very underrated as a performer, Shane McMahon. And I think he's almost never had a bad match. Pretty much every single match he has is memorable in some way, shape, or form. So I'm very excited about that match, to see Shane and Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And with that, I might as well let that be my little segue into some WrestleMania predictions of what I think might go down at WrestleMania. Might as well just start off with that match since I've been talking about it. I've seen a lot of people suggesting and kind of thinking that we're going to get some type of heel turn at WrestleMania. I've seen some people suggest Daniel Bryan. I've seen some people suggest that Shane McMahon will turn on Bryan. I've seen some people suggest that Bryan and Shane will win, and then Shane will turn on Bryan, or Shane will turn and cost Bryan the match, and then this will lead to a continuation of this feud, and Shane and Bryan will feud leading up to a match at SummerSlam. Which I could see. I mean, if either one of those guys is going to turn heel, it's going to be Shane. Because I will literally dive through the TV, find my way into the gorilla position, and strangle Vince McMahon if some, crazy act of Satanism came to fruition and Daniel Bryan was turned heel by the morons at the WWE. I don't think that will happen. And I don't think there will be a heel turn. I should mention that too. I don't think there will be a heel turn because at this point, every single year, there are so many people who always find some way to slip a little heel turn prediction in there. Every year there's always at least one match where everybody, it seems, is saying, oh, this guy's going to turn heel, this guy's got to turn heel. This has got to be the big moment. They're setting it up so well, it's so perfect, it makes perfect sense, and it never happens. How many times did we talk about, oh, this is John Cena, this is the moment John Cena's going to turn heel, it makes perfect sense. And it never happened. Oh, this is going to be the year Roman Reigns turns heel. Look at it, they're setting it up perfectly. It never happens. There will not be a heel turn. I'm calling it right now. No heel turn for Shane McMahon or Daniel Bryan. I will be shocked if there is a heel turn, because WWE has a habit of not doing certain things that they do on other pay-per-views throughout the course of the year. They usually don't do heel turns and face turns at WrestleMania. Not entirely sure why, but they haven't done it in a long time, to my knowledge. Somebody leave a comment if you can think of another a recent WrestleMania where there was a heel turn or a face turn of some kind, because I can't think of one off the top of my head. But leave a comment and let me know if there is one that you can think of. But I think this will be a good match. I think it has the potential to steal the show. I'm still very concerned and confused about Shane McMahon's situation because of this whole diverticulitis and hernia thing. He had hernia surgery and he has diverticulitis. It's very, very odd because you usually don't heal from that stuff this quickly. Quick enough that he would be cleared to compete at WrestleMania. And something has seemed off about it. And I'm not the only person who feels this way. I've seen a lot of people feel this way, that they're very confused as to what is real and what may be being manipulated a bit and kind of fictionalized by the WWE to kind of throw us off a little bit or to keep us guessing. And at the end of the day, despite my confusion and my, wonderment, isn't it a good thing when they're leaving us guessing on anything? I think it's usually a good thing whenever they give us something to scratch our heads and think, well, what the hell are they going to do now? What are they going to do about this? What's going to happen with this situation? I can't figure out what could possibly happen. Shane McMahon's injury situation is one of those situations. So I guess we'll see what happens. Some people seem to think that maybe something will happen, an angle will happen where Shane will get injured, either at the beginning of the match or before the match, and then there will need to be some type of replacement, or Bryan will just face Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn by himself, which I could see happening because the guy wrestled 2 matches in one night, against 4 different people, or 3 different people. So, I think anything is possible at this point. But yeah, I think more than likely Shane and Daniel Bryan win this match. Again, not expecting any kind of a heel turn, but we'll see what happens. I will happily say that I was wrong if Shane turns, and I will happily burn my house down if Daniel Bryan turns heel. Speaking of WWE leaving us scratching our heads on certain things, got to talk about this Undertaker John Cena situation, because this thing has been driving me nuts. And you want to talk about disappointment and leaving you scratching your head. What in the blue hell happened on Monday Night Raw this week? The go-home show for WrestleMania, and still we have no Undertaker. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't understand what they are planning. I don't have a clue what they could be planning. A lot of people seem to think, they may have an impromptu match, but why? I just don't understand. A lot of people are saying that they don't need to advertise this match because it advertises itself and, WrestleMania sells itself and all that crap, but I don't buy into all that. WrestleMania does not sell itself, I'm sorry. Not to the level that they need it to sell to. Because let's look at it this way. If up until this point, if before this week, no matches had been announced still for WrestleMania, do you really think the ticket sales would be the same way as they are right now? No. They would be significantly less ticket sales if they hadn't announced any matches until the go-home shows. So don't tell me WrestleMania sells itself. It does not. It sells some tickets. People are still going to buy. There are people who are going to buy tickets no matter what, but it is not going to sell anywhere near in the same ballpark to what it would sell when the matches are announced and when people know what they're going to be getting or have some semblance, or when they have some idea of what they're going to be getting. So I really don't know what they're doing with this Undertaker and John Cena thing. I don't see any reason why they couldn't have made this match official at this point. Why not make it official? Are we seriously going to go into WrestleMania and have some half-ass thrown together segment where Cena just happens to go into the ring and say, oh, well, let's give this Undertaker summoning thing one more try just for the hell of it and see what happens, and then that's when he shows up? I just don't understand it. This is not the first time we've done this whole is Undertaker going to show up, is he not going to show up thing. It's been done twice before. We did it with Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31 and did it against Kane at WrestleMania 20. There is a big difference between this occasion and those. In those prior 2 instances, the match had been made official weeks in advance. Going into WrestleMania 20, we didn't know if Undertaker was going to show up, even though we knew. But the match had still been made official. It was just, they kind of left it as a question mark as to whether or not he would show up. WrestleMania 31, the match was made official. It was just a question mark as to whether or not Undertaker would show up. This time, there's nothing. We have literally nothing. No tease, no nothing. Just Cena coming out for week after week after week, talking trash about The Undertaker in a very over-the-top and cheesy way, and demanding that he show up, demanding that he do something, and week after week we've gotten nothing. And I'll be honest, I don't have a clue what they are planning at this point. I think there is no way that they are stupid enough to not have The Undertaker show up at all after all of this. And I think they're seriously risking hurting The Undertaker's popularity by doing this, because I'll give you an example. I was watching somebody on some video thing, and they were talking about, they were at Monday Night Raw, and after Raw went off the air, they did some kind of thing where they were, showing the camera on the most, the best signs in the crowd. And one of the signs they showed was an Undertaker sign. And apparently the crowd was almost completely erupting in boos. Boos for the Undertaker. Now, you could chalk it up to just that particular crowd being disappointed that they didn't get Undertaker on the go-home show of WrestleMania. You could chalk it up to that, or you could say that WWE is really taking a chance here. Because what do you do at this point? How do you do it? And then you have, on top of that, you have everybody wondering and questioning, which Undertaker are we going to get? Are we going to get the American Badass Undertaker? Because Kid Rock's going in the Hall of Fame and he'd be there to perform the American Badass song. And you have people saying, well, technically last year he left his hat and that in the ring, and the gloves and the trench coat, so you could chalk that up to him technically leaving the dead man character in the ring, retiring the dead man character at last year's WrestleMania, so that could be an excuse as to him showing up as the American Badass for this year's WrestleMania. So I don't know if they're just going to do some confrontation, Undertaker DDP style, King of the Ring 2001 style, where Undertaker just shows up and beats the shit out of Cena, and that's it, and no match. Or we're going to get an impromptu match completely out of the blue, which will seem very weird. I mean, I think the crowd will still eat it up, but at the same time, it's just really fucking weird. And the other possibility that is horrifying to me is that they will tease a match between Undertaker and John Cena and hold it off until next year's WrestleMania. Which, on one hand, I would be infuriated. I would be absolutely infuriated beyond belief. But on the other hand, WrestleMania next year is going to be in my home state of New Jersey. So it's really hard to be angry and kind of happy about that at the same time. Because I would absolutely go to WrestleMania next year if I was guaranteed an Undertaker and John Cena match. At least if it was American Badass Undertaker. Because, if they wanted to, they could have American Badass Taker return here and then have a year build with American Badass Taker, like they did with Rock and Cena. I don't think they'll do that. But at the same time, I don't know what they will do. Because this whole thing has just baffled the shit out of me. And I think it's baffled everybody. I don't know. I don't know if this match is going to happen or not. I've seen a ton of people who are saying, you're nuts if you think that there's any chance that this match won't happen. Stranger things have happened. Okay, this is the WWE we're talking about. We're not talking about a company with competence and, high thinking ability. We're talking about a company who has done the most ridiculous things and had made the most ridiculous business decisions you can possibly imagine. Decisions that make absolutely zero sense whatsoever. I do not put anything past this company anymore. So I think anything is possible. And at the end of the day, I guess it makes WrestleMania more interesting to wonder about what's going to happen, but at the same time, I feel less excited. I was very excited before this past week going into WrestleMania because of this match, but now I'm less excited because I thought they would at least make it official in some way. I think it's stupid to wait until WrestleMania to have The Undertaker show up. Personally, I think they should have ended Raw with some type of tease, just so we had an idea, something to set our minds at ease that, okay, we don't know what exactly is going to happen, but at least we've got a minimal tease that kind of sets our minds at ease to know that we're going to get something. At this point, we don't know what we're going to get. We could get nothing. We very well could get absolutely nothing. Because, like I said, I put nothing past this company. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But if this match does happen, I think it's a guarantee, I think, that Undertaker wins. I just can't see for any reason why they would have John Cena beat The Undertaker at this point. It would make no sense to me. None whatsoever. Unless they're trying to, like, really force, really quickly, try to, like, really force this, some half-assed Undertaker heel turn, just to try and get the crowd to turn on him, for his last match. That's a slight possibility too, I guess. But I think you're going to have so many people at WrestleMania who are not going to give a shit about that. They are not going to boo Undertaker for any reason whatsoever. Unless he comes out there and shits on the American flag. I think there is zero chance that the majority of that WrestleMania crowd is going to boo The Undertaker, if that's their goal. But we'll see what happens. So speaking of not putting anything past the WWE, the main event of the evening, which I'm just going all over the place with this card right now because I don't give a shit. The main event of the evening, a match that we've never seen before, a story we've never seen told before. Roman Reigns going one-on-one with Brock Lesnar for the WWE Universal Championship in the main event of WrestleMania, more than likely closing the show. As of a couple days ago, I think as of yesterday, was definitely penciled in to close the show. Could change at the last minute, but I do not think that's going to happen. This match is 99% closing the show because it's WWE and it's Vince McMahon. Now, the build up to this, a lot of people have not liked very much. Personally, I feel like a lot of people have been a little too harsh on the build up for this. I think some of the segments have been good. The first couple of promos Roman cut were pretty damn good. Were a lot better than anything else he had really ever done before. I don't know if they were just letting him go out there and just, off of bullet points and just kind of talk the way he wants to talk, or if he was heavily scripted and they were just, picking this particular moment to not be morons and actually write something that isn't shit. I don't know which is the case, but I think Roman's promos for the most part have been pretty damn solid. Definitely the best that he's done so far. I have no faith whatsoever that the WWE will write and, push Roman Reigns in the right way after WrestleMania. I think after Mania, they'll say, all right, we did what we needed to do to get some people to cheer him, and now we can go back to doing what we were doing before. And then because they're morons, they will end up right back in the same spot that they were in, that they've been in multiple times for years now, where 99% of the crowd is booing the shit out of them. Not because it's cool, like a lot of, idiots in the business like to suggest. Has nothing to do with it being the cool thing to do. It's because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's because his promos are horrendous. And I'm not talking about the way he delivers them. I'm talking about the way they are written. Because if his promos were written well, he would be able to work with them. But his promos are not written well. They're shit. And so he's not able to work with that. Some people are. Some, the best performers in the business, the legends, people like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, they're able to work with shitty writing. Roman Reigns isn't, yet. That's not a knock on him, because I think he could get there at some point. But in order for him to get there, he needs to have experience with good writing and quality promos. And he hardly ever has that. And the only time he's had that is during the build-up for this match. So I think if they wanted to get people to boo Brock Lesnar, they did everything that they possibly could. To the point where they're even literally announcing, earlier today, as I'm filming this, Dana White announced officially that Brock Lesnar is returning to the UFC after WrestleMania. And I guarantee you that was not, a spur-of-the-moment thing. That is a very much calculated move, coordinated by Dana White and the WWE. At this point, there's nothing the WWE won't do to get people to cheer for Roman Reigns. It's going to be a good match. I don't think it's going to be a bad match at all. I think the crowd's still going to boo Reigns because, like I said, it's a WrestleMania crowd. It's not the casual audience that eats up, anything and everything. They've gotten some people to cheer for Roman leading up to this match, but it's not going to mean anything because it's WrestleMania. And it's going to be 90% hardcore fans who are going to boo him no matter what. There is a possibility that they boo Lesnar, being that most people are going to know that he's leaving. But the problem is, I think there's going to be a lot of people who aren't going to buy the fact that he's leaving. That's part of the problem. I think they're doing a good job by having Dana White come out and say he's coming back to the UFC after WrestleMania. It's probably a smart move because I think a lot of fans are not going to buy that he's really leaving. I think most fans are going to say they are absolutely doing this just to get me to cheer for Roman. And I think a lot of people are going to say, not going to work. There's no point in even going over prediction for this match because there's one prediction. There's one. As in the words of Paul Heyman, there is no prediction, there is a spoiler. Roman Reigns will win the WWE Universal Championship. He will beat Brock Lesnar in probably over-the-top, hokey, 7 spear in a row fashion. And it'll be a meh moment to end WrestleMania, as we've had multiple years in a row now. What other big matches are at WrestleMania this year? It's probably a good thing that I can't... obviously. AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura. And I'll tell you, the reason why I forgot for a moment that this match is happening is because the build-up for this match has been garbage. And it's been so bad that I couldn't even say garbage. I said garbage. The build-up for this match has sucked. I mean, I don't know what they could have done, with two faces. There's very little that you can do when you're having a big match between two faces, and you can't afford to turn either guy heel. So, I don't fault them too much for it. I think they probably did the best that they could do with what they had, but this is one of those matches where it's probably going to be awesome no matter what. So I think they're just kind of banking on the fact that this match is going to be phenomenal. Pun intended. They really didn't need to do much, honestly, because the hardcore fans are going to eat that match up. And I can't wait for it. Two of the best wrestlers in the world on the biggest stage in pro wrestling for the WWE Championship. You could certainly make an argument that this match should close the show, but it won't because, it's not, Roman Reigns is not in it. But I'm insanely looking forward to this match. I think it's going to be amazing. I do think Shinsuke Nakamura will win the championship. I'd be surprised if AJ retains, honestly. I think they've spent so much time building up Nakamura. And with him winning the Royal Rumble, and they've been doing a pretty good job with him for the most part leading up to this. And so I think the odds are pretty good that he wins the title here. And I think... I don't know what will happen with the Superstar shakeup after WrestleMania, who will be getting switched over to what brand, but I know as of right now, I would probably have to go with Shinsuke Nakamura to beat AJ Styles and win the WWE title.
and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'd be fine if AJ wins too. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be angry if AJ Styles retains the title, because there's nothing wrong with AJ Styles having the WWE title around his waist. You know, he's in a main event title picture, and you can't really ask for much more than that. Same thing for Shinsuke Nakamura. He's in the main event title picture. It's not the main event, as some people will say, but it's a main event. It's a big match for a big title. And it's a match that matters, and I can't wait for it. And I think pretty much anybody is like, at this point, just they don't really care. We know that the build-up has been meh, but who cares? Because the match is going to sell itself. This is one situation where something will sell itself. Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles is a match that sells itself. So I'm just gonna run through a couple of the other big matches that I care about for WrestleMania. Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax for the Raw Women's Championship. I'm kind of looking forward to this match. I mean, I think they've done a pretty good job with Nia Jax leading up to this match. I know some people don't care about this match, but it is what it is. I think it'll be a decent match, and the story is fine. Doing the bullying stories they always grab people's attention and their emotions, and as long as Nia Jax gets her her payback and destroys Alexa Bliss and wins the title, I'm fine with it. You can even have what's her face, Carmella, come out and cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase and beat her for the title after the match. I'm fine with that. I think Nia Jax will win. I'd be surprised if she doesn't. If Nia Jax does lose, I think it'll be by DQ. I think she'll kind of lose her shit and start beating so much of the shit out of Alexa Bliss that they have to stop the match. But I think it'll probably be a clean finish. I think Nia Jax will probably become the Raw Women's Champion. As far as the other women's title match, we have Charlotte versus Asuka for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This match I'm really looking forward to. I love Charlotte, and I love Asuka. I think they've built up both women really well. I'm really looking forward to this match. I think it's going to be a great match. And this match, I think, actually has potential to steal the show. And I'm rooting for it, too. I hope they have a great match. I think they will have a great match. That'd be awesome if they have the best match on the card. It's very rare that we get a singles women's match at WrestleMania, a one-on-one women's match at WrestleMania, let alone two single women's matches. So I think that this match is a proving ground for the women's division, and I think that this is really going to be the time to shine. A time to shine for both Charlotte and Asuka. And I think that if this match goes over well, and which I think it will, I think the crowd is going to eat this match up, and I think it's going to be great. I think Asuka will win the championship again because she won the Royal Rumble, the Women's Royal Rumble, and they built her up really well ever since then. Her promos have been very kind of weird. I don't think they've made her out to be enough of a threat to Charlotte. I think she's a little too over the top and weird at times and corny. I don't think she's been she hasn't come across as deadly enough for my taste, but hopefully this is a very stiff and rough match. I'm hoping that there's a lot of stiff shots and things like that, and I want this to be a kind of an ass-kicking match, and I think that we will get that. I think they're both going to go out there with the intention of stealing the show, and they very well could do it, and I'm hoping for it. So I do think, like I said, I do think Asuka will win the championship here. I don't think they're breaking Asuka's streak anytime soon. I think they're probably going to have Asuka be champion for the next year, and then next year at WrestleMania, Asuka, Ronda Rousey. for the title, and then you could have the streak end there, and I'm fine with it. And the other big time match that I wanted to talk about is, speaking of Ronda Rousey making her in-ring debut, teaming up with Kurt Angle to go against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Now, this is one of those situations where the build-up for this match has been really bad. Honestly, it's been really bad. And everybody has been pretty mediocre in this feud, I have to say. Especially Ronda and Kurt Angle. Now, I know everybody was looking forward to Kurt coming back, as was I. But I have yet to see one thing, whether it's physical or mic work wise, that has left me wanting to see more. I don't know what it is. I guess it's just age, but something has been very off. He's very bad on the mic now. He forgets his lines all the time. He makes mistakes, blatant mistakes. A couple weeks ago he said WrestleMania 21 instead of WrestleMania 34. And physically, when he's done physical stuff, it's been very awkward, and it seems like he's having a hard time moving around. It's tough, and I have a bad feeling that this match is going to be a disaster. And Ronda has not come across well so far. Her promos are so bad, and she's doing things that I don't understand how no one has mentioned them to her yet. Like, she's doing things like when she cuts her promo, she's constantly moving the hand that she has her mic in. She's constantly moving it around when she talks, and half the time you can't hear what she's saying because she's talking so low on top of that. And she doesn't seem confident when she's talking. And there have been a couple times where you can tell that she is forgetting her lines and she's having trouble remembering what she's supposed to say. And the few physical things that she's done, I know it's probably too premature. It's premature to be criticizing physical stuff, but I think the physical stuff has been okay. It hasn't left me saying, "Oh wow, she's gonna be fine." It's left me saying, she could be fine or she could be horrible. But it's really just the promo thing and the hand thing. Like, I don't understand why no one has taken her aside and said, here, why don't you try doing this, or why don't you try to refrain from doing this? She's working with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, two people who are phenomenal at cutting promos and who are phenomenal at doing those little things like holding the microphone in front of your mouth when you talk and moving. If you're going to move your hand, move with this hand. It's little things like that I don't understand how no one has pulled her aside and taught her these things. Or if they have taught her, she's not listening. So I think every time she's on screen, it's very awkward. The smiling is killing me. It's driving me nuts. The constant smile is just really pissing me off. She's got to stop smiling. She's got that ear-to-ear grin every second that she comes out there. And she's literally like a female John Cena. John Cena always used to do that shit, and he still does it to an extent. But he always used to do that shit where he'd get his ass whooped and get screwed out of a championship at a pay-per-view or something. And the next night on Raw, he'd come out all jumping around, smiling, giggling, and saying, "Oh, we're at Monday Night Raw, yeah! I'm just happy to be here." And that shit would infuriate me because it made him look like a moron. And Ronda coming out all the time with this ear-to-ear grin, this "I'm just happy to be here" crap, is ridiculous. And Taz has been mentioning it on his podcast, on the Taz Show, and I fully agree with him. She needs to be portrayed more as a threat. She needs to be portrayed more as a killer, as a killing machine. You need to start convincing people that she could legit rip somebody apart at any moment. It seems like they're trying to get her over as a wrestler as an entertainer, as a superstar, more than as a legit badass. They should be pushing her in the same way as Brock Lesnar. You know, Brock Lesnar has always come across like he's gonna legit rip you to shreds, and he could. And they should be doing the same thing with Ronda Rousey, in my opinion. So I don't foresee this match being good. I think it's going to be a train wreck. I don't have any confidence in Kurt Angle at all, physically. I think him and Triple H are going to struggle to keep the match together. And I think, I have a bad feeling this match is going to go way too long. This match should not go long. It should be like 10 minutes at the most, but I think this match is going to go like 20 minutes. I just have a bad feeling they're going to do the Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole thing, where that match should have been 5 to 10 minutes and end up going like 30 minutes. But in the end, obviously Ronda and Kurt are going to win. There's no chance of them losing whatsoever. So, overall, WrestleMania, I think, is shaping up. On paper, it's a very good card, but I think there are more matches than usual that have the potential to be flops, and I hope that's not the case. I hope that it ends up being a stacked show and a solid show. It's going to be a long show, 7 hours. Pre-show at 5 o'clock, and the actual pay-per-view doesn't end until midnight. God help us all. But with that, that's going to do it for this episode of the show with my WrestleMania 34 predictions. And leave a comment and let me know what your thoughts are on WrestleMania, what you think is going to happen with all of these matches. Give me your predictions, and feel free to leave a like. I really appreciate it, and give a subscribe if you're not already. I'd really very much appreciate that. And just so you know, if you do subscribe, if you click that little bell button, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video, because YouTube sucks, and so a lot of times subscriptions are showing up less and less in people's feeds nowadays. So that way you don't have to go tracking down if you're interested in seeing a new video. You don't have to go tracking anything down. It'll just let you know. But with that being said, if you've made it this far into the episode, I very much appreciate it. Whether you're just listening or you're listening and watching, very much appreciate it. Gonna keep this thing going. Hopefully WrestleMania is a great show. Hopefully we get some cool surprises and some memorable moments. And hopefully the Raw after Mania is awesome too. I'm gonna do my best to get my post-WrestleMania show up next week. Sometime, hoping for like Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, listening, and I will see you guys next time.